Hey everybody, it's Adam and I am out on tour, obviously, because I'm on the bus, as you know. Today, I had an amazing fantasy camp kind of day. I went to my friend Rick Lyon's shop here in New Jersey. Rick built all the puppets for Avenue Q, but that's not all Rick does. He's got an amazing shop. He's built hundreds and hundreds of puppets, and today we built a puppet together. And by together, I mean Rick and his people did 95% of all the work. We designed it together, and at the end of the day, we ended up with this beautiful puppet I want you to watch right now.
Good morning. Oh, you got your lid on. Excellent. That is a great hat. Here's the walk of shame. The trophy section.
Many of this is familiar.
I was going to say much
Yeah.
of this will be familiar to you. And then,
oh my gosh, heads everywhere.
And this is, and of course, you have to have racks to put the puppets on because,
of course,
you know, they're all soft materials.
They don't store well.
No, storing is,
way.
you know, gravity is their worst enemy.
Yeah.
So putting them on racks is actually their best destiny. Some of these are puppets that were retired from Avenue Q, and so they're here just as like shop reference puppets, and then the rest of them are from various and sundry things like commercials and foreign language videos that I did and
cool.
Stuff like that. You know, when I first made Avenue Q, you know, who knew it was going to have any kind of future?
Right,
and
right,
all the fur was just from jobbers, and you know, I was like, all I had was enough to build a couple, and then suddenly we're like, oh, we need 30.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
wait a minute.
Well, let me try to track down the manufacturer. Oh, they went out of business 10 years ago.
Yep.
So I had to actually have a run of Trekkie's fur custom made and a run of Kate's fur custom made.
Oh man.
Hi, Adam. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming.
One of the brilliant things that, you know, Jim Henson and his people came up with, or were very conscious of, which is something that I've tried to maintain in my work, is the idea of sympathetic movement, which is like movement that happens without necessarily being motivated by you. That just like that's why the ostrich feathers are such great, because there's, even without him doing anything, there's movement. And even if I just turn his head, there's like, you know, there's residual movement that sort of keeps happening.
Like Cookie Monster's eyes.
Exactly, that sympathetic movement that just sort of keeps on going. That's one of the things. You know, it's like the fingertips. One of the things I love about Trekkie Monster, because he's got this long fur, is his fingertips. He does,
there's
you know,
a lot going. Right.
You know, my finger just going like this motivates this whole sort of wave that happens with the fur on his hand. Yeah, it's those are the kind of things that you look for when you're making a puppet. You know, little stuff that can sort of amplify, you know, what you're doing and complement the movement.
You know?
Right, exactly.
But it's also a good place to start with. It's just so simple.
Incredible.
That's, I think, you know, one of the interesting things about puppetry is that it can be so simple. This is something that the Henson Company developed. Have you ever seen these?
I have. I have. It's an amazing.
Yeah, it's so simple, but it's just like that's sort of like all you need to have to have a puppet. You know, it's so interesting because puppets are, of course, you know, they're like reductions, they're abstractions, they're symbols. It's so interesting to me that like
just that
the human brain is so programmed that somehow just two spots of black somehow we recognize that as an eye.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's of course the brilliant thing about, like, you know, what Jim did with Kermit, is that Kermit is basically just a sock puppet. I mean, he's so simple. He's something that Jim's hand had direct force on.
Yeah.
There's almost no barrier between. Well, there is no barrier between Jim's hand and the
Jim had
the
large
fleece.
hands. Am I right
he
about
had
that?
big hands.
Right.
Yeah.
The Kermit replica I have is padded.
Yeah.
And I recognize from reading that padding is mirroring what Jim's hand would actually do.
When I doubled for Jim, I wore a glove.
Really?
Because my hand was just a little too small. I mean, Kermit was so made for his hand.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do today?
You know, I wanted to craft a character with you.
All right.
And you know, I don't have any real preconceptions. I'm particularly fond of Animal and of Gonzo. The Animal and Gonzo are my two favorite Muppets, and they're really like my two spirit animal Muppets. Animal's the id, and Gonzo is absolutely like the unabashed intellectual dive into performance art, right?
Right.
While I understand, so I'm feeling like eye mechanism is something I'd like to put in.
Okay.
I have no idea about head shape or whatever, and I also have this idea that a character I'm interested in. I keep on redounding to the idea that they're somewhat alien.
The reason I pulled this out is you talked about this is similar to the iMech that's in like Bert from Sesame Street, but it goes to show you how analog it can be.
Amazing.
You know, this is just polyfoam with a couple of wires stuck through it.
Oh my God.
And this is how Bert's eyebrow on Sesame Street works. So, you know, a mechanism can be pretty simple. This mechanism, the trigger for it is sitting on the mouth plate, and you just use your center finger and pull it back. You'll feel it. So that's obviously a more sophisticated thing. That's got like nice bearings and stuff like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, a fellow by the name of Jim Krupa did that mechanism for me. This goes into more of that creature territory thing where you've got like foam latex heads which have mechanics and stuff inside of them, and so there's no room for it to be controlled by the performer internally. So it's an external control.
Yeah.
But it's the same function.
Right.
But it's here instead of on the mouth plate. If I'm performing that puppet, I have to think about how I'm expressing with the eyes at the same time I'm lip syncing. This way I'm controlling only one thing.
Yeah.
With my hand. I have full control of my mouth here, and I don't have to worry about even an assistant can do this for me while I'm doing the hands. Right. You know. So, but of course that, you know, again that removes you from a little, you know, that removes you from the process a little bit.
I've tried to not overthink. Right. You know, before I arrived here, like what shape, what type it is. I like the idea of something that is not too elaborate in terms of size and mechanism, but something more manageable. Like I said, I have a Kermit puppet that's an amazing size in terms of its scale and its
something you can throw in a carry-on.
And another thing that I was toying around with was teeth, like the ability to see the teeth. Right. Again, I keep redounding to Mr. Animal because he's just such a
Well, no, that's one of the things that when I make portrait puppets of people, one of the things that really helps set them off from just like a Muppet puppet is teeth. It's one of the things that's a nice surprise, you know. If you, just like in the history of puppets, if you look around at puppets, there's not all that many that have teeth. So teeth are a nice addition, definitely. So one of the things about, as I said, one of the things about this kind of puppet is that obviously the dominant feature is their mouth, because that's what's moving. So one of the tricky things about mouth puppets is you got to make something that hinges.
Right.
That's why, I mean, even if you look at this variety of shapes like Animal or Kermit or Gonzo or any of the ones over here, Kate Monster, Princeton, Trekkie Monster, the mouths are still flat because that makes the most successful. You can sort of camouflage that straight line with hair and additional foam pieces and stuff like that, but the most successful mouths are ones that will hinge and that have flat, what I call mouth plates.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
All right. So, I mean, you can have a puppet that has a mouth like that, but that you know, serrated, whatever. But still, within that limitation, there's still, you know, a variety of ways you can approach. Now, do you see this thing as being a thing with fur or a fleece texture, or
fur or fleece texture? Absolutely. I've been thinking fleece texture, but I've also loved the fur. I'm you know, I have a Chewbacca costume. I love the fur.
Well, fur is a lovely. The nice thing about it is it's got so much texture, and like I said before, it's got that certain amount of sympathetic movement. There's movement sort of that amplifies what you do. So if you want to go with something furry like that, then that's a choice. Obviously, the long things move around a lot.
This guy is speaking to me. I
Oh,
like what's happening here.
Do you like thin? You like tall, skinny, fat? Are you thinking about a rod hand like Kate?
Absolutely rod hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause that's the nice thing about that is that you're completely independent.
Yeah.
You know, to have a puppet like this, like Trekkie or Nikki here, you really need that second puppeteer to fully realize,
I love the rod
realize
hands.
the character.
The Kermit that I have has 2 rods, and I have become fairly adept at playing with both of them and getting him to do his. And so when I see this size, I mean, I'm seeing, you know, I see that's my hand fairly contained.
Do you like bellies? Do you like is he like a golf club cover? Is he just straight?
I think maybe he does have
something
a little
with
bit
form.
Of
Well, that's nice because that's a nice compliment to the top. Do you think that you want somebody with
So I recognize an iMech on that can be devilishly difficult.
Well, yeah, you don't have many options. It's going to have to run down inside.
Let's say no to an iMech.
Okay.
That simplifies it radically.
Okay. Now, what about this mouth? Do we inside the mouth here? Do we have tongues? Is this an alien with teeth?
I think we do have tongues, and I think we do have a little bit of teeth.
Has he got like a continuous line like Lucy, or are they individual chompers?
I think they're a little more individual chompers.
All right. So there's some detail.
Yeah.
Do you like?
And I love the tongue and the uvula.
Yeah. Do you see a particular color that you like? Is this purple, green, a more natural
blue, but that's part of the
character?
Grover lover in me. But mostly, I'm thinking of it as a slightly darker color. It doesn't have to be blue. Darker color, I think, variegated, so it's not monotone.
Okay.
And I think, he could end up being a little ratty in the right way.
You can feel them.
Yeah.
She has internally, she just has a string of beads.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
She has a string of beads. So that's all the structure she has. She doesn't have a distinct elbow. It's, so she can, stop. Come on. It gives you that sort of, there's that sort of floppiness that she has. That's one of the things that we love about Kate is that she can do quick little things that surprise you. She's sort of a humble and shy character, but she can be quick when she needs to be. One of the things that Jim did, of course, that almost every cartoonist does, is he simplified the hand so it only has 3 fingers and a thumb. Generally, it's really nice to have the hand big enough so that you can, do things like, stuff like that. What about if he had?
I don't think so.
Some nostrils or something. Nothing, no breathing apparatus?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. One of the signature looks of the Muppets, and one of the reasons they look the way they do, is because they came from that cartoon thing. Black pupils. That's all they. Just flat black pupils. Gonzo. All they.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I avoid as a signature look.
Sure.
I use dimensional pupils.
Well, what I wonder with
as
him
much
is,
as humanly possible.
Right, and I really like his bright eyes. That definitely takes him way out of human territory. I like the irises of a high color.
Yeah, these are not. I did not custom make these. These are just stuffed animal eyes or whatever. I think you might as well. Go for the gusto. Let's do some legs.
Let's do some legs, so he can have a seat in a chair and
yeah. That was one of the things that sold Kermit, was having legs.
Yeah. And I think the idea that if he has some little chomper teeth in there, that's kind of surprising, and you wouldn't expect it with fish lips. I kind of like the incongruity.
Well, that's the nice thing about making something from scratch, is you can sort of play with those and make decisions as you go. It's really like being a sculptor.
Right.
You're creating a thing from scratch, and something that seems like a great idea on paper, you get into practical use and you go, that's really not working very well. When you see it in 3 dimensions, then you can edit. That's what I love about making stuff. It's one of the frustrations of making replicas, and why I sometimes burn out when I'm making a replica of something, because I'm like, this is what it's supposed to be. You're locked in. If you move the thing from here to
Kelly,
here. It's
yeah.
not a DL44 anymore. Now it's something else.
Totally.
So it's nice to do your own original things.
So where do we begin?
Where do we begin? That's a good question. What we want to do first, just in terms of reference, we want to make a scale drawing.
Okay.
We want to make something that would be a one-to-one drawing.
Okay.
These are objects you see in the everyday world, but God forbid it's on camera.
Tell me if I'm real far off here.
No, I think you're not far off there in terms of...
And let's see, so that's... Oh! Let's get some eyeballs.
Do you think the soccer balls are too small?
I think, yeah. They're not much bigger than a ping pong ball.
No.
I mean, we can try them.
Yeah,
Oh, you know
that's
what?
about right.
That's awful darn close, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I think that's great.
I think that might be totally spot on. Lower teeth, or maybe just on the upper?
I think just on the upper.
Okay. Some fish lips. I don't know.
And yeah,
I like the idea of having lips.
the lips they're making me very happy.
That gives us some idea.
I think, yeah.
All right. So you are going to work on the eyes.
I'm going to go over there and work on the eyes.
And I'm going to work on starting with the mouth plate.
Okay.
Ron, I see
Got
you
the hands
working with a
going.
hand. All right. I think we're going to use like the bead technology for the arms, so they're nice and loose. You're going to start working on the skull.
I was going to make a skull shape here to do the dome. Yeah.
You know what? Why don't you start on the belly, because I haven't made the mouth plate yet.
That's fine.
And we're not going to,
Yep.
it'll interface with what I'm
do
doing. So,
whatever you would
All right.
okay. Why don't you start on the belly then?
I'll start on the belly.
All right.
I'm going to go do the eyes.
Super. You will find that we are not as well equipped as you would be. We totally do things with our hands.
I am
here.
totally down with
I don't
that.
even have a decent saw here. I have my little jigsaw. I don't even have a band saw.
No.
So I don't. It's true. We're very hands-on here. We use scissors and.
I'm totally down.
See how some of it, like the texture is nice and plain, and then it's all knotted? I think they treated it with heat or something to get it to, and it's very uneven. See this part? Perfect. That looks great. It's got texture, it's got dimension, it's got color, but these parts, they're all like matted cat fur.
Maybe some of this is good for arms or in that area.
I don't know.
I love that.
It's got a nice texture to it.
I think that's gorgeous.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think we have
That
enough.
looks like just maybe about enough.
I think we have enough. It's going to be close, but I should have enough.
And the fly the fly from the towel.
Also the cow.
Well, right now it's been in storage, it's been in inventory for a long time. It's all just kind of smashed, and I'm just going to use some blow dryers, and not to change the texture, but just to loft it up a little bit, because it's just so smashed right now. You can see the difference between the area that I did, and this looks like roadkill over here, and this has some life in it now.
So, this is barge cement, which is the standard puppet building glue, and it is a contact cement that was used for making shoes. It's been used by puppet makers for years. You don't paint it onto the foam, you take it on a piece of rubber like this, and you just kind of dab it and build up a small layer. We use it for almost everything. And then you just kind of butt your seams together. Gently. You don't want to crush the foam into itself. And this is the first pass at our skull. We'll slip it onto our mocked up mouth plate. Get a sense of what it will look like.
This is a tiny, just a tiny bag that's going to be whatever we want to do for the arm rod. It's going to go in there, and then from here the arm will be a sleeve of muslin, and then we're going to put little beads inside. just little beads, so that it has dimension, that it has weight, and so that the arm has a nice curve to it when it bends. So it looks all kind of wiggly and fun.
What I normally do is I strip all the paint off too, as best I can, and then I go in with epoxy or whatever, and fill this gap, and then sand it, and then paint it. Be here all week. This is what we end up with. We end up with a set of patterns that make it possible for us to repeat a puppet. Like, here's the bottom of her brain. Here's the profile of her brain. The piece of foam that goes inside the head to keep it its shape. This is a pattern for her body, which is cut out of foam. This is the foam for her head, Cape Monster's head. You can see the dart that goes into the foam. So that you're not starting from scratch every time. You get a consistent bunch of shapes. It's kind of like making a three-dimensional piece of clothing. The director was friends with my band director. So he just came to our school.
So it's a sandwich, essentially.
All right, so where are we at?
Well, I just patterned the belly.
Okay.
Oh, upside down. I know it's subtle, but there actually is a little bit more taper at the top. I just patterned the belly. I think I need to narrow the top a little bit.
Okay.
Actually, all of it needs to be just a little bit rounder, I think.
Okay.
So, but that will also compress a little bit when I put boning into it. That's the nice thing about the foam, that it will compress.
Right.
And if I just put the boning ring and make it a little bit undersized, I can scooch it all in. So I don't think I want to actually mess around with this pattern too much anymore. Okay. I think I will get that pull in from the boning. This is poly boning. It's also known as corset boning. It is heavily used in the costume industry, and it also is a great product for the puppet industry because it's light and flexible, but is also structural enough to support a foam body like this. So I'm going to cut 3 rings of this and place them inside the body so the belly has support. And Ron has got a very nice, complete set of hands and armatures.
Should be. There's a pocket in here, so when we go to put a rod in, there'll be a pocket for the rod, and and they've got wire inside, so they're posable.
Yes,
I did the eyes there.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, that's excellent. And I see we got a couple of scuffs there we'll want to take out with the Novus, but those will polish right out. That happens to me all the time. Great. Okay, and James has got the
I've been working on the head here
and the mouth plate.
So I did a paper pattern, and then translated that over into foam,
And then that's translated
and then into the L200 that we're going to use. I did a rough one just to make sure that the shape was holding, but it's a little ugly seam-wise, so I'm going to do a nice cleaned up version.
I have a question about the eye stalks for you. If you want to just. I was just looking at the handle that you made for your eye rig here, and it occurred to me that that's very close to. If you look at our scale drawing, that's very close to the size. Just put a little wooden plate in the interior of the skull
to hold them.
Yeah, and then just sink the stalk down into the little plate.
Yeah.
And then probably what we can do is either use like plumber's epoxy or something like that and set it in there, like that. That's probably a good way to anchor that, and I think we'll be pretty good to go. Very creepy. Well, that's the thing that was so interesting about
It was the Lawrence Fishburne era.
Oh, okay.
Well, so I've painted the backs of the eyes, and as I was instructed, I painted from the inside out in yellow acrylic, and I also back painted it with a little bit of red because it matches his fur. And it's not something you'll necessarily see, but it adds just a little bit of color that ties it together. And so that is going to be the window to the soul.
So this is our fabric, and obviously this is the back of the fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace out this outline, this pattern, which is of course the hand and the arm connected, and it's really just going to be tracing out one side, flip it over another, and cut it out, pin it, stitch it, and then shove all the foam and stuff inside, and it'll be a beautiful hand when we're done.
So Adam, you want to try your hand on and see how the grip feels?
Yeah,
All right,
there we
and
go.
Get your fingers in there.
Yep.
And if you like, I could put a little bit of a piece of a brain in the back to keep it a little more secure in there.
Let's totally do that.
Great. And we're also going to make a little thumb loop.
Oh,
it's just
right
going to
on.
get a piece of foam that and I'll put a lining in it, and
That'll get me.
It'll get you in there a little more secure.
And he is going to have lips too.
Yes, he will have lips,
Yeah.
but this is really just the lining of the inside of the mouth.
Awesome.
So we'll work out the lips and we'll get the fur on there and everything else.
It's very exciting. Very exciting.
And we'll make you a tongue. Or maybe you'll make a tongue.
Yes.
Awesome.
Guess what I'm working on? I think that's much better.
Awesome.
Oh, lovely. Okay. Did you compare it to the mouth plate? Does it fit within there? Oh, excellent. Are you at the point where you want to paint it?
Yeah.
It's paintable now?
So I've taken our foam skull and our mouth plate, which has been installed, and our finger grip in here, and I have now been draping it with muslin to get the skin pattern for the head. And I'm going to take this, transfer it to paper, and trace out the head fur and start sewing, and soon this will be
Sorry, Ron. I just
halfway there almost.
All right, things are getting furry. How are we doing?
Yeah, we're to that point where I'm doing a lot of that. Well, I've got the lower body, the belly covered with fur now, so it looks like a muff. And actually, I'm pretty happy. That's pretty on model.
Spot on, yeah.
That's pretty on model. And I'm working on the upper body now in fur. What I think happened here is you can see his neck is from the sketch. His neck is really small, and I was concerned about getting your hand even up inside there.
Yeah.
So in my pattern for the fur, I've widened the neck a little bit.
Sure.
Because I just think that's going to be the hand of an 8-year-old maybe. not an adult male.
No.
So I've widened that a little bit, and I'm going to sew that together and then attach that to the body. That's where I'm at right now. James?
Well, I've been working on the head. We've got our final skull all put together, and our mouth plate has been installed, and there's a little thumb loop here and a grip and a little bit of a brain. And then I went on and made a muslin pattern to drape
For the fabric.
for the fabric.
For the fur,
For the
right?
fur, yes.
Oh, wow, this is already, what?
Yeah, I move fast.
What the?
So since we don't have a full foam structure in here, it's just the fabric is going to give it shape to the lower jaw.
Right.
And what's going to happen next is I'm going to line this with glue and put the glue on the lip line around, and then I will invert this, and we will skin our character
It's
up.
going to start to happen.
And then Ron's been working on the hands very feverishly
I've been
over in the
watching
back
him
there.
invert those.
So those are...
So there's a lot of fur around these fingers, but there is definition, and there is you can feel the,
oh my
the
gosh,
wire
look at
inside.
that.
And I think I just need to stitch on this guy, like this part here, take the fur and stitch it around there, closed, and then you still have the pocket for the arm rod to
hand
come in.
controller.
Yep.
Okay. Oh my god, that's great.
Oh, those beads. That was a good size. I think the smaller ones would have been too wussy.
It gives the arm some structure.
Yeah, it's got that sort of serpentine ability.
Great.
That's awesome. I was concerned about the fur just like totally disguising the fingers, but I think there's enough separation. I think you can see
trimmed a little
Yeah,
too
definitely.
Yes.
later on
Yeah.
to get more
Absolutely.
definition.
Yeah, but I think we may be happy with just the way it is.
Very exciting. So then, when I'm thinking about structurally getting this in here,
Yes.
So if I put these plates on here, I still have to glue those plates down to this.
I would use barge.
Right, glue those on is fine, but glue those
Yeah.
to this is.
Well, I am an advocate of using whatever works.
But I think what we can do is if you made that half an inch longer, cut a hole, maybe not pressure fit, but cut a hole slightly smaller into this,
Into the foam.
Into the foam.
Oh, right, and get a little structure.
and then
out
it'll
of it.
have that little bit of a peak.
All right.
Yeah. like Elmo on Sesame Street, his
He's got a plate inside.
he's got a
his head.
plate inside his head,
Yeah.
and his eyes are mounted on stalks similar, and they fit flush down onto the foam, and actually crush in a little bit. But there's just like a half-inch piece of wood right on the inside.
I don't know that we have room for,
We may not have room for it in
because
this,
he's so small.
but I think you could probably get those right into the foam, and they would stick just right.
I have eyes.
I just do eyes. Oh.
Now it's starting to look like a puppet, eh?
It certainly is.
That fur is great.
It is. It's a really nice fur. I'm loving the way that it's, you know, little clumpy.
It comes out and
Yeah.
yeah.
Am I right? No, you're right. You're right. It's about 10.
See, that's two things right I did today.
Two things. So, but
We're gonna give you a gold star later.
You know what though?
It should flare out a little bit.
So now I'm going to go glue, and then we'll
You sure?
find out where everything is.
Fur around his mouth
You want
is
it-
so
you want it to be
good. I'm not
straight?
sure he needs
I don't know.
lips now.
Oh, you may not. We're going to add a little line to the tongue here. Give it
Give a little definition there.
a little bit of definition. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there he goes. He's getting there.
Now he can
Really?
speak. Now I can speak.
Yeah.
Is that your voice? I don't know. Okay, we'll figure that out later.
Yeah. So practically there.
His neck is part. Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so the
I think
boning,
you're right. I
the
think I
boning,
split
so the
the difference.
boning should be closer. You know, it should be right at the join where his
Okay.
head and his neck meet, and right about where the
Well,
arms
let me
are.
stitch that boning on real quick.
Because the weight of the arms will crush the.
Sure.
You know.
I'll stitch this on.
He looks almost like RoboCop with his helmet on. Right?
Here's the goop.
Oh, cool. Right,
So he'd be like that,
it's very, very cuddly.
and then the arms coming in around here-ish.
Oh, thank you.
Do. Because what I normally do is I normally anchor this to the body.
Fresh water smells like progress.
That's right. Yeah.
The feet? Yes.
Perfect.
All right.
Awesome.
Enough to hold it in place anyway.
Yeah. So here's one. Here's the other.
That's a little more than I wanted.
Key goes there. Got hair in the eye before.
All right. Gee, I can't imagine why.
Reg, this is amazing. This is amazing what you guys did. We made a monster.
Good.
High five.
Good subject matter. do you have a name yet?
I'm not even sure I have a voice yet.
Somehow appropriate and vaguely alien. Hairball. Just do a little manicuring here.
Thank you. That feels wonderful.
Under the circumstances, that's pretty close.
I think it's not bad.
Look at the scale.
it's pretty much exact.
Pretty good, considering we're not doing a whole lot of math there.
Yeah.
He is definitely a little stockier in here, but he had to be because that issue with the. But it looks like it's landing on your hand nicely back here.
Oh, it really is.
So it should be secure on your hand.
Feels fantastic.
Awesome.
Feels fantastic.
And I don't think right now he feels like he's missing those eyelids.
No,
that's
I don't
certainly
think he is
something that
either.
could be, retrofit somewhere down the line.
Well, the nakedness of his eye stalks also feels a little alien, and I kind of like
Yeah.
that. Rick, this is totally amazing. You guys are absolute magicians.
Well, thank you. It was a good team assembled with James and Ron here.
James, Ron, come on over here. Will you guys come over here?
Sure. And thank you for your patience with the process.
Oh, no. This for me is so much fun. I learned so much today about puppetry, about the materials you guys work with, and the. Oh!
Now I am fully mobile. I am ready. Welcome to Tested.com. One day builds.
Thank you. Thanks for letting us play.